What if a single knock at midnight could shatter years of silence? The rain had been falling for hours, soft and steady, like the sky itself was tired. Claire sat at the edge of her bed, staring at the framed wedding photo on her nightstand. The woman in that picture was younger, braver, full of hope. The man beside her, Daniel, had once been her whole world. But lately, he felt like a stranger who lived in her memories. It was almost midnight. The house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the clock ticking on the wall, a sound that somehow felt louder on nights like this. Daniel was away again. Another business trip. Another excuse. He always said it was important work, but Claire had stopped asking details. Every time she did, his answers got shorter. The distance between them had grown invisible but heavy, a silence that filled every corner of their home. She tried reading, but the words blurred. Her eyes drifted toward the phone, hoping maybe he'd text. Nothing. Just the screen glowing blank. She sighed, rubbed her temples, and thought about making tea. Then came the knock. A soft, uncertain knock at her door. Her heart jumped. For a second, she thought she imagined it. The house wasn't supposed to have noise at this hour. Then she heard it again. Mom. It was Ethan, her 17-year-old son. Claire frowned. Ethan rarely came to her room anymore. Since the arguments between her and Daniel had begun, Ethan had pulled away. He stayed in his room with his headphones, drowning out the tension. She hadn't heard that small, careful voice in a long time. She opened the door. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" Ethan stood there, nervous, shifting his weight. His eyes looked tired but serious. "Can I talk to you?" She nodded slowly. "Of course. Come in." He stepped inside, glancing around as if searching for words. Claire tried to smile, but something about his expression made her uneasy. "What happened?" He swallowed. "It's about Dad." The way he said it made her chest tighten. "What about him?" He hesitated, then pulled out his phone. "I think he's hiding something." For a moment, she didn't understand. Then he handed her the phone, the screen already lit up. She saw Daniel's name, but the messages weren't from him. They were to him, from someone named Emily. The text at the top read, "Miss you already. Same time next week?" Claire blinked, frozen. Her mind tried to make sense of it, to explain it away. A wrong number, a co-worker, a misunderstanding. But her heart already knew. Her throat felt dry. "Where did you get this?" Ethan looked guilty. "I wasn't snooping, I swear. His iPad synced to my phone somehow. The messages just popped up. I tried not to look, but..." "It's okay," she whispered, though her voice trembled. She stared at the screen again. There were emojis, little hearts, late-night timestamps. It wasn't professional, it was personal. Her hands shook. The words blurred from the tears she refused to let fall. Ethan's voice cracked. "I didn't want to tell you, but I didn't know what else to do." She finally looked at him, her son, standing there with worry in his eyes that shouldn't belong to a teenager. He shouldn't have to carry this. "Thank you, Ethan," she said softly, forcing herself to sound calm. "You did the right thing." He nodded, uncertain, then stepped closer. "Are you okay?" She almost said yes, but she couldn't lie to him, not now. "I don't know," she whispered. Ethan hugged her awkwardly, like he hadn't done in years. She held him tightly, afraid her heart might collapse if she let go. When he finally went back to his room, Claire sat on the bed, staring at nothing. Her mind ran in circles. Was this really happening? Daniel, her husband, her best friend, had always been distant lately, but cheating. No, she didn't want to believe it. But that name, Emily, who was she? A coworker? Someone from his trips? The name didn't ring a bell, but the messages felt too real to deny. She opened Daniel's contact list, stared at his photo, and almost called. But what would she say? She didn't even know where he really was. The rain outside grew louder. Thunder rolled faintly in the distance. Claire pulled a blanket around herself, but it didn't stop the chill. Her home suddenly felt like a stranger's house, familiar walls hiding unfamiliar truths. She replayed their last phone call in her head. His voice had sounded distracted, almost impatient. He'd said, "I'll be home soon." Just a few more days. But now, she wondered, was he really working late? Or was he with her? Claire stood up, pacing the room. She wanted to scream, to cry, to run, but instead she sat down and opened her laptop. If there was something to find, she'd find it. She typed Emily into Daniel's emails. Nothing. Then she checked social media, his colleagues, his tagged photos. Still nothing. And just as she was about to give up, she noticed something. A hotel reservation in Chicago, dated 2 weeks ago. She hadn't known about that trip. He'd said he was in Boston, her stomach twisted. He'd lied. She stared at the booking confirmation and felt her heart break quietly. No shouting, no anger, just the deep, hollow ache of realization. Then she heard footsteps. Soft, hesitant ones. Outside her room again. Her heart jumped. She turned, expecting Ethan. But it wasn't him. It was her phone, lighting up on the nightstand. A new message. Unknown number. She reached for it, hands trembling. The text read, "I didn't mean to hurt you, but you deserve to know the truth." Her eyes widened. The sender's name wasn't saved, but the preview line below made her blood run cold. It's about Daniel. She stared at the screen, frozen between fear and curiosity, knowing one thing for sure. The night wasn't over, and whatever truth was waiting next would change everything. How do you protect your child from a truth that's already broken you? The morning light crept through the curtains, but it brought no warmth. Claire sat at the kitchen table, staring at her phone. The message from the unknown number still glowed on the screen. You deserve to know the truth. She hadn't replied. She couldn't. Every word, every possibility felt too heavy. Her coffee had gone cold. The spoon in her hand trembled slightly. She kept wondering, who sent that message? Was it Emily? Someone trying to help her? Or someone who just wanted to watch her world fall apart? Ethan entered quietly, backpack slung over his shoulder. He hesitated at the doorway, unsure if he should say good morning. The silence between them felt different now. Fragile, filled with things they both knew but couldn't say. "Morning," Claire managed. "Morning." He sat down, eyes fixed on the cereal bowl. "Did you talk to Dad?" Claire shook her head. "Not yet," he frowned. "You should. You deserve answers," she smiled sadly. Sometimes answers hurt more than silence. Ethan looked down, guilt flashing across his face. "I shouldn't have shown you that message. I just thought..." "You did the right thing," she interrupted softly. "You didn't break anything, Ethan. It was already cracked." He didn't reply. He just nodded, picked up his bag, and left for school. When the door closed, Claire's composure finally broke. She leaned forward, her face buried in her hands. The tears came silently, not loud or dramatic, just tired. She had loved Daniel for half her life. They had built a home, raised a child, shared everything, and now she wasn't sure who he really was anymore. Her phone buzzed again. The same unknown number. "I'm not your enemy. I just thought you should see what he's been hiding." Attached was a photo. Claire's breath caught as she opened it. Daniel, standing outside a cafe, smiling, talking to a woman. The woman had dark hair, soft features. Emily, they looked close. Too close. Her hands shook as she zoomed in. His hand was on the woman's arm, casual, familiar. He wasn't supposed to be in town that day. He'd told her he was at a client meeting 2 states away. Claire dropped the phone. Her chest tightened, breath shallow. She stood up, pacing the floor. Every sound in the house felt sharper. The clock ticking, the hum of the fridge, her own heartbeat in her ears. She grabbed her keys, ready to drive, ready to confront him, but stopped. Where would she even go? What would she say? Who is she? Why did you lie? Would he even tell her the truth? The thought made her dizzy. She sank into the chair again, forcing herself to think. No, she couldn't just explode. She needed proof, not pieces. Hours passed slowly. She checked Daniel's location history. Nothing. His phone was off. His email showed nothing suspicious. He was careful. Too careful. By afternoon, she was still staring at her screen when her phone rang. The caller ID flashed, Daniel. Her stomach turned. She hesitated, then answered. Hey, Claire. His voice came through, calm, practiced. Just wanted to check in. How are things at home? She forced her voice steady. Fine, how's your trip? Busy, he said. Meetings all day. I'll probably be back Friday. Right, she whispered, her eyes flicking to the photo still open on her phone. Dated yesterday. He wasn't in another state. He was right here. She swallowed the anger rising in her chest. You sound tired, he chuckled softly. You know how it is. I miss you, though. Her throat tightened. The words felt like poison now. Miss you too, she said faintly. When the call ended, she sat still for a long moment. Then she took a deep breath and decided, if he wouldn't tell her the truth, she'd find it herself. That night, after Ethan went to bed, Claire sat on the edge of her bed again. The rain had returned, gentle against the windows. She scrolled through Daniel's social media, his coworkers, old friends. She looked for Emily, for any clue. Then something caught her eye. A tagged photo from a company dinner posted weeks ago. There was Daniel sitting next to a woman. Same hair, same smile. The caption read, Team celebration with Emily. Claire's stomach dropped. She clicked Emily's profile. Public posts, dozens of them, smiling photos, captions filled with joy. And one stood out, posted 2 days ago. Sometimes the heart chooses chaos before peace. The comments were full of hearts. Claire stared at that line until the words blurred. Her thoughts spiraled. Did Emily know Daniel was married? Did Daniel lie to both of them? She rubbed her temples, exhausted, her heart heavy. The house was too quiet. She wanted to scream, but she couldn't wake Ethan. He'd already seen too much. Then, another message. The same number again. He's not where he says he is tonight. Her pulse quickened. She typed back before she could think. Who are you? No reply. She waited, watching the screen until another message appeared. Go to 41st Street. The Blue Maple Hotel, room 213. Her breath caught. She stared at the message in disbelief. The sender knew too much. For a long moment, she just sat there, frozen between fear and anger. Then something inside her snapped. She needed the truth, even if it broke her completely. She grabbed her coat, slipped her shoes on, and quietly stepped out. The night air was cold, the streets wet and quiet. Her hands gripped the steering wheel as she drove through the city, every mile heavier than the last. The Blue Maple Hotel was small, tucked between an old diner and a gas station. The sign flickered in the rain. Claire parked across the street, her heart hammering. She could see room 213 from her car, curtains half drawn, a soft light glowing inside. For a moment, she couldn't move. What if she was wrong? What if this was a cruel prank? But deep down, she already knew the truth. She got out, crossing the street slowly. Each step felt heavier than the last. The rain soaked through her jacket, but she didn't care. She reached the door, hand trembling as she raised it to knock. And just then, it opened. A woman stepped out, pulling on her coat, looking hurried. She didn't see Claire at first, but when their eyes met, everything stopped. It was Emily. And behind her, in the room's dim light, stood Daniel. His face went pale. Claire? Her breath caught in her throat. The woman turned to look between them, realization dawning slowly. Claire stepped back, her chest tightening, words failing her completely. Daniel moved toward her. It's not what you think. But Claire was already walking away, her tears lost in the rain. She reached her car, shaking, gripping the steering wheel with numb hands. Her phone buzzed again. One more message. Now you know. She stared at the screen, her heart breaking in silence, the lights of the hotel glowing faintly behind her. And for the first time in her life, Claire realized, knowing the truth didn't set her free. It shattered everything she thought she was standing on. What if the truth you finally find still leaves you with more questions than answers? The morning after the hotel incident, Claire sat in her car in the driveway, the engine off, the silence deafening. Her fingers clutched the steering wheel, but she couldn't move. She hadn't slept. She hadn't even cried properly. It was like her emotions were stuck somewhere between disbelief and exhaustion. When she finally stepped inside the house, sunlight had already filled the living room. Ethan was sitting at the kitchen counter, still in his pajamas, eyes glued to his cereal bowl. He looked up confused. "Mom, you didn't come home last night." Claire tried to smile, but her voice broke. "I just needed some air." Ethan frowned. "You look pale. Did you talk to Dad?" She hesitated. "I saw him." The spoon slipped from Ethan's hand. "And?" Her throat tightened. She couldn't bring herself to say the words. That she'd seen Daniel with another woman. That everything Ethan feared was true. She only whispered, "You were right." Ethan looked away, his eyes glassy. "So it's real," she nodded, tears threatening to fall. "Yeah, it's real." The house felt smaller suddenly, every wall echoing with memories that now felt fake. Laughter, anniversaries, promises, all of it felt like echoes from a different life. Ethan stood up abruptly. "I'm going to school." "Ethan, wait," she called, but the door had already closed. She sank into a chair, her hands trembling. The world she'd built for years had fallen apart in a single night. And yet, something still didn't make sense. The unknown number, the person who'd sent her those messages. How did they know everything? How did they know where Daniel would be? Who were they? Her phone buzzed again. Another message. "He's not the only one who lied." Claire's heart stopped. She stared at the text, her fingers frozen above the screen. "What do you mean?" She typed back quickly. No reply. Just those words lingering like smoke in her mind. By afternoon, she couldn't take the suspense anymore. She decided to go to Daniel's office. She needed to hear it from him, face to face, without lies, without excuses. The building was modern, glass walls and clean floors. She'd been there before for company dinners, but walking in now felt different, like entering a stranger's world. The receptionist recognized her instantly. "Mrs. Peterson, Daniel isn't in today. He took a personal day." Claire forced a smile. "Do you know where he might be?" "I'm not sure," the woman said. "But he left early yesterday afternoon." That matched the timeline of the hotel. Claire thanked her and turned to leave. But then she heard two coworkers whispering near the elevator. "I can't believe he brought her to the party last month." Yeah, brave move for a married guy. Claire's stomach twisted. She walked faster toward the exit before they noticed her. Outside, the sun was too bright. She put on her sunglasses, trying to hide the tears threatening to spill. Every corner of the city felt tainted now. Reminders of a life that had been quietly falling apart while she wasn't looking. When she got home, she found Ethan's backpack on the floor, but no sign of him. A note on the counter read, "Went to Grandma's. Need some space." She sighed, guilt washing over her. He was just a kid caught in the middle of adult mistakes. She poured herself a glass of water, hands still shaking. Her phone buzzed again. The same number. "If you really want the truth, check Daniel's storage account." She frowned. Storage account? She didn't even know he had one. The text included an address, a small rental unit on the edge of town. She hesitated for only a second before grabbing her keys again. The storage facility was quiet, rows of metal doors stretching endlessly. Claire found Unit 47. The key was taped under the handle, just like the text had said. She unlocked the door and it creaked open slowly. Inside were boxes, files, and a few old suitcases. Nothing suspicious at first glance, but then she noticed a folder labeled "Personal." Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside were photos, Daniel and a woman, laughing at a beach. Not Emily, someone else, Lauren. Claire's breath caught. Her best friend, Lauren, the woman she'd had coffee with every week, the one she confided in about her marriage. There were handwritten notes, too. Love letters, cards, tickets from trips. All dated long before Emily's name ever appeared. Her vision blurred with tears. She leaned against the cold wall, the realization hitting her like a storm. Emily wasn't the beginning. She was the end of a long chain of secrets. She closed the folder and slid down to the floor. The betrayal burned in her chest, not just from Daniel, but from the woman she'd trusted like family. Her phone buzzed again, making her flinch. Another message. Now you see it wasn't just him. Her heart raced. "Who are you?" she typed desperately. "How do you know all this?" This time a reply came instantly. "Let's just say I was one of the people he lied to, too." Claire's mind spun. Was it Emily? Lauren? Someone else entirely? She typed again, her fingers shaking. "Why are you helping me?" "Because you deserve to know who you're really married to." Her pulse quickened. "What do you want from me?" No reply. Her pulse quickened. "What do you want from me?" No reply. The typing bubble appeared for a moment, then vanished. She looked around the small, dim room, the boxes, the evidence, the ghosts of her marriage. Everything she thought she knew was a lie built carefully over years. When she finally stepped outside, the wind was sharp, carrying the smell of rain. She stood there, staring at the horizon, trying to catch her breath. She drove home in silence, headlights cutting through the dusk. When she pulled into the driveway, she noticed something strange. The front door, it was slightly open. She froze. Her heart pounded as she stepped inside. "Ethan?" she called softly. No answer. She walked into the living room. Everything looked normal, except for one thing. On the coffee table lay a single envelope with her name written in Daniel's handwriting. She picked it up, hands trembling. Inside was a short note. "Claire, I know you've seen everything. Please meet me tomorrow. I can explain. Don't make assumptions before hearing me out. No address, no signature, just that message." Her chest tightened. Was it guilt? Manipulation? Or was there something she still didn't know? As she stood there, the phone buzzed again. One final message from the unknown number. "Don't believe what he tells you tomorrow. He's already preparing another lie." Claire froze, her heart thudding. The phone slipped slightly in her hand as she stared at the screen. 2 voices now. Daniel's letter begging for a chance to explain, and the stranger's warning that he would only lie again. She didn't know whom to trust anymore. The only thing she knew for sure was that tomorrow she'd have to choose which truth to believe. What do you do when forgiveness feels impossible, but hate feels too heavy to carry? The morning sun touched the edges of the curtains, but the warmth couldn't reach Claire. She sat at the kitchen table, Daniel's note lying in front of her, the words burning into her mind. "Please meet me tomorrow. I can explain." He wanted to talk, but after everything she'd seen, the hotel, the lies, the betrayal, what could he possibly say that would make sense now? Still, there was a part of her, small but stubborn, that wanted answers. Not for him, for herself. She needed to understand how the man who once held her hand through every storm had turned into a stranger who hid behind half-truths and hotel rooms. As she stirred her untouched coffee, another thought haunted her. The mysterious messages, the unseen sender who seemed to know everything. Who were they? Why were they feeding her pieces of the puzzle instead of the whole picture? The clock struck 9. She made her choice. She would meet Daniel, not to forgive, but to end this quietly, with her dignity intact. She got dressed carefully, her movements slow, deliberate. A navy blue sweater, jeans, no makeup. She didn't want to look angry or broken, just done. When she stepped outside, the air was cool and the street was calm. Daniel had asked to meet at a small park they used to visit when Ethan was little. It was a place that once meant peace. Now it felt like the final chapter. He was already there, sitting on a bench under a tree. He looked older, tired. When he saw her, he stood up quickly, his eyes filled with regret. "Claire," she didn't answer. She just sat down across from him, leaving space between them. He sighed. "I know there's nothing I can say to make this right. But please, just let me explain before you decide anything." She nodded slightly. "Go ahead." He ran a hand through his hair. "It started years ago. After your mother got sick, we drifted apart. I felt like I'd lost you. And instead of talking, She cut him off, her voice calm but sharp. "You replaced me." He flinched. "No, I made a mistake. I was weak. I didn't stop it when I should have. And when I tried to fix things, it was too late. Claire's eyes filled with quiet pain. Who was first? Emily or Lauren? Daniel's face went pale. You know about Lauren? Her lips trembled. I found the photos. He lowered his head. It was Lauren. Emily came later. It wasn't love with either of them. It was escape. Escape from what? She asked bitterly. Your wife? Your son? The life you built? He didn't answer. His silence said enough. For a moment, neither spoke. The sound of children laughing in the distance made the quiet even heavier. Claire finally said, You could have talked to me, Daniel. We could have fixed it. He looked up, his eyes glassy. I thought you'd stopped caring. She shook her head slowly. I stopped fighting because I was tired of fighting alone. He swallowed hard. I deserve everything you're feeling. I don't expect forgiveness, but please don't let this destroy Ethan's image of me. He's angry now, but I still want to be his father. Claire's voice softened, though her heart ached. He'll always be your son, but you have to earn his respect again, not demand it. Daniel nodded, wiping his eyes. I will. I promise. For the first time, she saw something in his face. Not love, not even guilt, but shame. She stood up slowly. I don't know what's next, Daniel, but I can't stay in the same house pretending everything's fine. I need space. We both do. He stood too. If you leave, I'll understand. Don't disappear from my life completely. Her voice trembled. You disappeared first. She turned to leave, but he called after her. Claire, one more thing. She stopped, not turning back. He hesitated. That message you got, the one that sent you to the hotel, it wasn't from Emily. She didn't send it. Her heart skipped. She turned slowly. Then who did? Daniel sighed. I don't know for sure, but I think it was Lauren. Claire's eyes widened. Lauren? He nodded. She wanted to hurt both of us. After I ended things with her, she started reaching out anonymously. She knew everything. Where I was, who I talked to. She must have sent those texts. Claire felt dizzy. The betrayal twisted even deeper now. So she wanted me to find out? Yes, Daniel said quietly. She wanted revenge. Claire took a step back, her pulse racing. The woman she had trusted the most, the one who smiled in her kitchen, who held her hand during hard times, had been the one whispering poison behind the scenes. Why didn't you tell me this before? Claire whispered. Because I was ashamed, he admitted. And because I didn't think you'd believe me. She looked at him for a long time. For the first time, his lies weren't angry anymore. They were small, defeated. She turned away, the wind brushing against her face. Goodbye, Daniel. He reached out, his voice breaking. Claire. But she kept walking. When she got back to her car, she sat in silence, trying to process everything. Lauren. The messages. The setup. The manipulation. The pieces finally made sense, and yet somehow they hurt more now that she knew the full truth. Her phone buzzed again. She froze. The same number. Her heart pounded as she unlocked it. The message read, He's lying again. Don't fall for it. Her hands went cold. She quickly typed back, Lauren, stop. It's over. I know everything. A few seconds passed. Then a reply came. Lauren? I think you're mistaken. My name isn't Lauren. Claire's pulse quickened. Not Lauren? Then who? She stared at the phone, her reflection faintly visible on the screen. The typing bubble appeared again. Then another message came through. I'm someone who's been watching for a long time. You still don't know the full story. She dropped the phone onto the passenger seat, her mind spinning. The truth wasn't finished yet. Someone else was still out there, still playing with her life, still pulling invisible strings. She gripped the steering wheel, staring out at the park, her breath trembling. The story she thought had ended had just opened a darker chapter.